Pennsylvania College of Optometry and a postdoctoral advanced degree from the Giselle Institute in Child Development. Aside from having a private practice, he has done clinical research, been a faculty member at the Esalen Institute, and authored 5 books. He's a member of both the New Mexico Optometric Association and the American Optometric Association. He's licensed to practice optometry in New Mexico and Hawaii. Welcome, Dr. Berne.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So as I mentioned, we've had so many speakers speak about whole food plant-based nutrition. We speak about it all the time, and we've kind of ignored eye health, kind of just taken it for granted. I guess I started this when I was in my 40s, and my eyes were pretty good, so we didn't really think about it. But for anyone that's having challenges with their eyes, that's really a huge concern. So we certainly would rather be proactive than reactive on this subject. If you could just take a minute, maybe, just to introduce yourself and tell us what you've been doing with your career for the last, 10 years, 20 years, and then I'll start asking you questions.
Okay, thanks. So for the last 20 years, I've been doing patient care, research, and teaching. And my mission is to bring holistic vision care to the mainstream. I have a pretty active social media following, also have a podcast, and I'm just inspired to help people take back their vision.
Great. Okay, I'd like to try, if it's okay with you, to ask you quite a number of questions. So instead of feeling like you have to cover everything on every question, I'll ask you a lot of questions. You can answer just that, and then we'll go on to the next question so you have a chance to talk about a lot of things. Does that sound good?
Yeah, fire away, Steve.
Okay, here we go. So could you elaborate on what the functional medicine approach to vision entails beyond traditional optometry?
Well, there are 2 parts to it. The first is functional nutrition, and that relates to how the gut and how our diet affects the microcapillary circulation and the mitochondria function in the eyes. Because after about age 40, we start developing oxidative stress and inflammation, and then we go to a traditional eye doctor and he starts diagnosing with a variety of conditions, or if you wear glasses or contacts, your eyes get progressively worse. So in functional nutrition, I'm looking at what are the best foods we should eat, the best lifestyle practices, and so that's the first category. The second category is, when you get your exam, where most eye doctors just have you read the distance chart, and that's really your eyesight. It's not vision. Vision is how the eyes and the brain and the body integrate and work together. So it's a brain experience. So how you use your eyes functionally affects the structure anatomy of the eyes eventually. So if you're in a repetitive state of movement with your eyes and vision, or you're wearing glasses or contacts that perpetuate or reinforce a weakness, then it just gets worse and worse. So in functional vision therapy, what I've developed is a way to help re-educate the habits and bring people to a better space around their vision functionally, and this reverses the structural deterioration.
Thank you. You've seen improvements in cataracts and macular degeneration with nutritional changes. What are the foundational dietary recommendations you typically make?
Well, number 1 is eliminating moderate to high glycemic index sugars. Number 2 is reducing inflammatory foods and, the bad fats. And then number 3 is to protect yourself from the damaging blue light emitted from our screens. And using iridology, analyzing the patterns of the iris, we can look at your constitutional type to see whether or not, what specific health practices you can do to mitigate any deterioration. And then in addition to the constitution, we can look at the different patterns, genetic tendencies, and nurture points in our glands, organs, and digestive areas. And then we can really fine tune and pinpoint what foods you should eat, what lifestyle changes you should make. And in all of the cases, I recommend boosting mitochondria function in the eye, either through red light therapy. You could also do methylene blue, which is kind of it kind of amplifies the red light therapy. Or you can do certain foods that stimulate mitochondria function. So if you do all those things, you are being proactive in interrupting and in many cases reversing the deterioration in these eye diseases. I'll say one more thing. With cataracts, if you catch it early, if you increase your glutathione and vitamin C, those two ingredients have been found to be really potent for slowing down the aging process in cataracts or macular degeneration.
Thank you. Could you explain the importance of carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin for maintaining macular and lens health?
Sure. So the carotenoids help protect the macula by creating kind of like a similar metaphor would be like wearing sunglasses. So it deflects the damaging blue light. Now, if you've had cataract surgery, the intraocular lenses don't even have any blue protection in them. So this is where lutein and zeaxanthin become even more important. Now, dosage on a daily basis, you should be doing about 16 milligrams of lutein and about 4 to 6 milligrams of zeaxanthin daily. Couple things though, these are fat-soluble vitamins, so you want to make sure your liver, gallbladder are working well, because you can be either taking the supplements or eating the rainbow vegetables. But if you're not absorbing the fat-soluble vitamins because the liver, gallbladder are not working well, then what's the point? So you've got to make sure your liver, gallbladder are working properly so you can absorb them. There's one other one that you haven't mentioned, but I think I should mention it. It's called astaxanthin. So astaxanthin is a third carotenoid. It's actually a marine carotenoid. You can get that from wild-caught salmon, the pink seafood. You can also, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you can get it from algae. So you want to get 4 to 6 milligrams a day of the astaxanthin. The astaxanthin, along with the lutein and the zeaxanthin, work synergistically that will protect your macula. And if you've been diagnosed with either dry or wet macular degeneration, you should start taking those carotenoids immediately.
Thank you. Why is glutathione considered a crucial antioxidant for eye health, and what dietary sources or supplements might you recommend?
So glutathione is a powerhouse antioxidant. It's produced in the liver, and some of the best foods that you could get glutathione from would be either the cruciferous vegetables or garlic, onion, those things. Or I would recommend a liposomal glutathione. So that means that it's kind of fat molecule and it's sublingual. And so I'm not recommending any companies, but you can do your research. But you want to get a liposomal glutathione because it's going to be protected in a fat molecule. So when you swallow it, it's not going to get eaten up by digestive enzymes. So either or. Another thing you could do is get IV glutathione, although it doesn't stay in the body that long. But certainly, I've had many patients going for IV glutathione, and they will say immediately their eyesight is much clearer. So glutathione is one of those really powerhouses of antioxidants, and it's in a high concentration in the lens of the eye, as is vitamin C. So if you're developing cataracts, you're probably low in those two antioxidants. So I would start boosting them either through supplementation and or foods.
Okay, you might have just answered this, but how do omega-3 fatty acids and DHA specifically benefit the health of the optic nerve and retina?
Well, the retina is made up of about 50% essential fatty acids. And, in the neuroscience literature, they're always talking about how omega-3 is really good for the brain. The brain is maybe 50% fat. And so the omega-3s, first of all, for glaucoma, it is a requirement that if you've been diagnosed with glaucoma, you should start taking at least 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams a day of a really high potency DHA, EPA, primarily DHA. And then with any kind of retinal disease, again, omega-3 is critically important as an anti-inflammatory agent, but also just feeding the retina. Also, omega-3 has been shown to help mitigate some of the dry eye symptoms. Now, dry eye is a complicated condition. We can talk more about that because there are many levels and layers on why we develop dry eye. But, I think that everybody should be on a good omega-3 because we don't produce it in the body. And, you need to do your due diligence on companies that do their third-party testing. But it's certainly, it's essential for eye health.
Thank you. What are the primary metabolic factors contributing to cataract development, and how can these be addressed holistically?
Well, one of the main ones, and I've heard some of your speakers talk about it, is the process called glycation. So in the lens, what happens is the glucose molecule binds itself to the protein molecule of the lens, and this creates cloudiness. And in all the patients I've seen over the years, and this is also in the literature, if you have a difficult time with glucose metabolism, you're probably going to develop cataracts and possibly even, diabetic retinopathy or wet macular degeneration. So the key here is that you need to really take care of your pancreas health and be aware of what you're doing around your sugars, even carbohydrates. A lot of my patients will say, well, I do a fruit smoothie, bananas and all these sugary fruits. So we try to move them off of that. I would say berries are probably okay, citrus fruits are probably okay, but you need to really monitor this glycation situation. And also it can be a cause of eye floaters because that glycation molecule will attach itself to the protein molecule of the vitreous, the gel sac, and this also is a creation of floaters. So glycation wreaks havoc on the eyes as it does on the body, and it really accelerates the aging process.
So we've had a lot of speakers talk about diet, and we've asked them a lot of questions. When it comes to supposedly healthy fats, meaning raw seeds, nuts, raw organic seeds, nuts, avocados, olives, those four things, that's question one. And then question two would be olive oil, hemp oil, flax oil. So question one, seeds, nuts, olives, avocados. Question two, supposedly healthy oils such as hemp, flax, olive. How do these affect eye health?
Well, it's obvious, big time. When we do seeds and nuts, again, I like to do dehydrated and organic if possible. Chia seeds are a great source of omega-3, and of course walnuts. We'll recommend something like a smoothie where we'll use a few seeds and nuts and cacao, 70%, and that's a nice way to get your fats and all the great stuff that's in cacao. Avocados, you've got lutein in avocados, which is great. And, when I travel, I always bring an avocado on the plane, and that's one of my snacks. And in terms of the fats, 3, 6, and 9, again, I've heard some of your speakers talk about how we get too much 6 or 9, not enough 3. I think it's a balancing act, but I love things like, organic olive oil, hemp seed oil. I mean, it's all moderation and high quality. So I don't think we get enough fats and oils in our diet. I think it's one of the areas that we forget about, or we're eating fats that aren't really high quality, which are going to accelerate oxidative stress and inflammation. So I'm with most of your speakers around we need more healthy fats, 3, 6, and 9, and you've working with a functional medicine doctor that can help fine tune exactly what you need, but it's essential for your eye health.
Okay, thank you. You challenge the idea that vision must deteriorate with age. What are some fundamental strategies to maintain or even improve vision in older adults?
Number one, only wear your glasses when you need them. Take them off and go without your glasses in non-demanding and non-threatening situations. Number two, get morning sunlight, at least 30 minutes every morning. Number three, limit your screen time. Take frequent breaks if you're on screens, phone, tablet, or computer. Number four, your lifestyle is such where you want to get out into nature and get away from the EMFs because that actually affects your eyes. And number six, heal your emotional health because emotions definitely have an effect on the eyes. And number seven, cultivate your liver, gallbladder, thyroid, and pancreas health. And we see this again in our iridology readings, and we can tell if there's genetic tendencies or nurture points. But doing a liver cleanse once or twice a year is awesome for clearing up your eyesight and reversing the aging in your eyes.
Well, just 30-second. What's your version of a liver cleanse?
Well, a simple one is get some warm lemon water in the morning. Add bitter green vegetables to your salads, for lunch. And before bed, put a drop or two of castor oil on your liver and put a heating pad or a hot cloth over it for 10 or 15 minutes, which is like a castor oil pack. Those are really simple practices for supporting liver health.
Okay. So the next question, I guess, is what are the specific mechanisms by which blue light from digital devices can be damaging to the retina and contribute to macular issues? But let's just, the term blue light was not a term we were using 10 years ago. It wasn't a term that most people even heard 5 years ago. And now all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but we're hearing people say that blue light is an issue and you need special blue light blocker glasses. What is blue light? Why is it a concern? What should we do?
Not all blue light is bad, but if you look at the nanometers between 405 and 455, that is a chaotic blue wavelength. And when that blue wavelength touches your eyes, it creates dryness. It also can, over time, create eye strain or eye fatigue. And so in the short answer is that when you expose yourself to the 405 to 455, you're setting yourself up to have this, I call it a neurotoxin, that's coming into your eyes. Now, the French government did a 400-page paper on the ill effects of blue light from children to adults. In the US, and I just attended a conference, it was a mainstream allopathic eye conference, they did not really think blue light has some issues. However, blue light definitely is going to affect your pineal gland. It tricks the melatonin, and it can create sleep problems. The thing with blue blocking glasses is that it's in the marketplace. So there's a lot of predatory uh, products out there that say, they do this and they do that. Even the best blue blocking glasses only cut out about 30% of the blue light. So it's not 100%. That's where you have to take your carotenoids. You have to, get out in the natural sunlight. I do think that blue protecting lenses are certainly worth it. You can also get things on your screens. You can also get software that will deflect some of the blue light. But there isn't any one thing that's going to completely block you from the blue light. So you've got to have good visual resiliency, good visual skills. I wouldn't wear progressive lenses. Those are the invisible bifocals when you're working on the computer, because that's going to stress your eyes. So there's some things that you can do functionally. There's some functional vision therapy exercises that you can do. Obviously, nutrition and diet. And it's just like anything else. You don't want to be running marathons with your eyes. And that's what people do on their screens. So it's all moderate, but I would say that blue light definitely has an ill effect. And if you've had cataract surgery, you want to definitely protect yourself from blue light, because the IOL they're putting in doesn't correct you or protect you. And you're not told that in the surgery. So those would be some of the things I would spotlight in blue light. It's definitely an issue.
By the way, how many eye doctors in the country have your knowledge base? Is
Well,
there a lot of people that know this, or is this unusual? Because I haven't heard, I'm not aware of that many that speak with the wealth of knowledge on this that you have.
well, I can't speak for others. I am doing a practitioner training now, so I know that the people that I'm training, they're gonna get my knowledge. There is an organization called covd.org, and they're a group of behavioral optometrists who do some form of vision therapy. To what degree, I don't know. There's also a group called the College of Syntonic Optometry, and they do light therapy. Again, I don't know what their database is. I know for me, I had some really great mentors who aren't alive anymore, who really, I was 28 years old and I had 5 70-year-old behavioral optometrists, developmental optometrists, so I got a big transmission there. And the other thing is I do have a broad perspective. So I've studied acupuncture, craniosacral, aromatherapy, functional medicine, energy medicine, and many other things. So I look at myself as a physical therapy optometrist and a naturopathic optometrist. I don't know too many people who wear those hats, but that's what I do. And I've been doing it 40 years, so I've got a big base of patients, and that's why I keep doing it, because it's great. And on social media, we have over 280,000 followers, so something is getting struck there on the chord of, the information I'm conveying.
Thank you. What are some common myths about eye health that you frequently encounter and would like to dispel?
Number one, you don't have to live out your doctor's diagnosis, doctor's allopathic diagnosis. Number two, your eyes don't have to get worse as you get older. They can actually get better. And number three, you can improve your vision at any age. I have patients between 85 and 90 that are improving their vision. They're either reducing their prescription, they're getting their driver's license renewed, even if it's just daylight. They've had pretty severe diagnoses that we've been able to reverse in terms of diseases. So, when you go to the regular doctor, again, if they don't see it in their mind that you can improve it, then of course they're going to stay in their indoctrinated ways. I've had the good fortune to see a lot of healing with people's eyes and vision. So I can recognize if somebody is open to do it and their body intelligence says, hey, I want to do this, I'm doing it in other areas. We find this all the time, that even giving somebody a reduced prescription can actually improve their eyesight and vision. And this happens all the time. And then if they want to go deeper, the longer they work with me, the more benefits they get.
Thank you. Beyond diet, what are your top 5 nutritional supplement recommendations for overall eye health and why?
Okay, so a disclaimer, I do not distribute any products because the product markets that I see do not meet my criteria for safety and protection of the consumer. So that being said, I'm just going to speak generally here. And what I would say is that, number one, and I'm going to go in a little different direction here. I think the thyroid health is really important. A lot of people have low thyroid, so seaweed, dulse, and kelp are really important. In terms of liver health, there are 3 herbs that I love. So I'm going more herbal than just, vitamins and minerals. Burdock root, yellow dock, and milk thistle. That combination, if you want to do a really good liver cleanse, that's a great combination. I think that if you can, do like eye compresses, things like dandelion root or golden seal, chamomile, eye bright, although that's hard to get, even colloidal silver, if it's a really high quality, that can be really good at, as an antibacterial agent. I also do a lot with essential oils, and my number 1 essential oil is frankincense, and I'll put it on the temples, massage it on the back of the neck, and on the third eye. We did a post on Facebook on frankincense, that very thing, and we got over 1 million views. So something is resonating with people using frankincense as a way to improve the vision. Obviously, we talked about omega-3s. Those are really good. For glaucoma, adding things like ginkgo, bilberry, taurine. For macular degeneration, saffron and turmeric are really good. Bilberry is great for night vision and improving peripheral vision. So, there's a lot of different avenues around the supplementation. But, if you press me, I'm still saying no processed foods and rainbow diet. I love doing smoothies, like vegetable smoothies, like using ginger root, turmeric root, beets, celery, cabbage, wheatgrass, and use a hot tea. So if you've got, say issues with your bones, I would do something like oat straw tea. If you've got respiratory issues, mullein tea, and that's a hot tea that you would put in the blender or the Vitamix. Getting those plant enzymes is really, really important in the morning. I find that people aren't getting enough really good enzymes, and you can take supplemental enzymes, but it's not the same as getting into your Vitamix and working that way. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's my perspective on what you asked.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on wearing contact lenses full time versus allowing the eyes periods of rest without them?
Well, I definitely think contacts are great part-time, sports and social. You don't want to, for nearsightedness, you don't want to get overcorrected for distance with contacts, because then you're going to need reading glasses over the contacts. So tell your doctor you want to be a little bit undercorrected for distance and nearsightedness. In farsightedness, if you wear contacts, again, you don't want to wear something so highly magnified because then you're going to lose your distance. And you don't want to do monovision where you're correcting one eye for distance and one eye for near. And then wearing the contacts part-time is a good strategy because what happens is when we wear contacts full-time, we get a false sense that our eyes are really good. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. That's what's great about the glasses, because you can take them off in certain instances. You get to allow your system to relax. And your point is well taken around the contacts because it can create a dryness. It can affect the ocular microbiome. That's right, we do have a microbiome. And so taking the lenses off, allowing your eyes to breathe, and just being moderate when you wear the contacts, I think they're a great optical system to use.
Just as a general answer, not best case scenarios, how likely is it that we can improve our eyesight? I know a lot of what we're talking about is how to prevent our eyesight from getting worse, but in your experience, not the couple of cases where everything went great, the average person who's using glasses and contacts, are you saying that we can maintain our eyesight, or are you saying you could actually have better vision? What are we? What is your experience been?
So who's the population? Is it in this conference, or is it more in the general mainstream where they're not in this conference? Who are you targeting here?
A motivated person that was saying I'd be very interested in improving my life.
If they're motivated and they have some, background in holistic health, then I would say it's probably a 95% chance that there can be some improvement. And what I see with people when they take that on, the release around them actually experiencing the improvement reduces their stress by about 250%. And I see it all the time. Like people come in, I don't know exactly what you do. I've heard good things. I'm interested. My mindset is I want to improve it. Great. Then I can at least give them 3 things that they will experience some level of improvement, and the stress release that they get from that is profound.
Thank you. Tell us about LASIK or the equivalent of LASIK. What it is, how well it works, if there are side effects, and also for someone who's already undergone LASIK and is experiencing returning vision issues, what holistic strategies you might recommend.
So LASIK is a refractive surgery in a long line of refractive surgeries. It used to be called PRK back in the day. Basically what the surgeon does is he's changing the shape of the eyeball, the front of the eyeball, to reduce the prescription in the eye. Now, one of the sayings we have in our practice is it's not the eye that causes the prescription, it's the programming behind the eyes that causes the prescription. And that's an important point, because if you do believe that it's the programming that causes the prescription, well, what you're changing is just the end result symptom, which is the prescription in the eye. That's what you're doing with LASIK. But you're not going back to the operating system and reprogramming that. So now you have the LASIK surgery and the operating system is still operating in the old model, which is I'm going to still have the same programming. And then you've got this new hardware that's like, it's not fitting. So what you have to do is you either have to ignore the programming, and then you'll probably stay more in a success space, that sweet spot where you go, hey, LASIK's great, there's no problems. But you'll see it in other areas, either in the body, in tension that you carry, or other weird things that may show up in the eyes. Side effects, yes, there are many in LASIK surgery, like dry eye, starburst, and a revert back to, again, the operating system is much stronger than the LASIK procedure, so that you move back into the prescription that you had before you had the surgery. Now, there are physical therapy exercises that I've developed that can help people post-surgically integrate what the LASIK surgery has done to the eye. We have eye surgery, but we never do physical therapy after it. In fact, it's invalidated. It's taboo if you bring it up with your surgeon. They always say, oh, that doesn't work. It's mumbo jumbo. But you go have a knee operated on or a shoulder and you go to physical therapy. Remember I said about 10 minutes ago, I'm a physical therapy optometrist. So when somebody has had surgery, we need to do we need to do physical therapy afterwards so that they can integrate the programming, the operating system with the new information that's in the eye. If you do that, you can mitigate a lot of the deterioration that comes in. The last point I want to make, and I mentioned this at my class, is that in 2018, the New York Times did an expose on the FDA, and LASIK surgery. And actually the person who helped approve the LASIK surgery, who worked for the FDA, was quoted in the article saying that he probably wouldn't approve of the surgical procedure today because he's seen so many horror stories. And that article really reveals the shadow side of LASIK surgery, even though, on the mainstream media, it's really, very popular, and celebrities and athletes that do it. And it really can create confusion between the eyes and the brain.
Thank you. What is grounding or earthing, and how might it contribute to overall wellness and potentially impact eye health in our modern environment?
Well, grounding and earthing is an opportunity for you to get into the energy fields of the earth. And all our shoes are rubber. We don't walk barefoot anymore. And we're spending all of our time either in cars or cement. We're not in nature. And so the EMFs build up. And one of the places that I see EMFs really cause problems is if you wear metal glasses, sorry, Steve, it conducts EMFs into the eyes. So you want to go more with a plastic frame and taking your lenses off. We use grounding. We have mats that you can, actually put your feet on when you're working on the computer. We also have it on our massage table when I'm doing craniosacral. You can even put a grounding mat on your bed if you want to. So it kind of depends on your environment. I mean, if you live in a city where there's a lot of wireless and you can't get yourself into a barefoot place in nature, then I would definitely get grounding and earthing in your apartment or your house. Definitely helps. Now, if you can get out into nature and you can get into the Schumann wave, which is a very slow frequency that comes into our body and resets us, if you can do that, and you can meditate and you can walk in bare feet, and then you don't need the grounding mat. But I think it's really important. A lot of holistic health practitioners talk about it. It's the real deal.
What are your recommendations for individuals who spend many hours working on digital screens to mitigate potential eye strain and damage?
Well, first of all, I would recommend having their optometrist prescribe or at least test their eyes that what is the best prescription at the computer. One of the things that happens that I see a lot is that people get a distance prescription, but that prescription's for 20 feet. And so when they use it at the computer, it's going to create eye strain. It's too strong for them. That's on the nearsighted side. On the farsighted side, if you're wearing reading glasses, like when you look at your phone, that magnification is going to be too strong for you at the computer, so that you want to get a weaker magnification lens at the screen distance. I think it's important to, at the very least, take frequent breaks, set up things where you can deflect the EMFs, whether it's crystals or you can get these EMF protectors. Very important. I think getting out in the morning natural sunlight is also critically important. Of course, blue protection is part of it. And hydrate. I don't know if anybody at your conference has talked about the benefits of hydrogen water. We're using it now to be part of the support of macular problems and cataracts. So hydrogen water, structured water, I'd be drinking really high potency water, really, really good. And, I use essential oils. We might distill those in the environment so you're oxygenating and hydrating.